Welcome back. It's now time for the live center stage Twitter debate. And remember, all of you watching this broadcast now can participate in this program and tell us what you think. Here is the question, and the framing of this question is very important for you to understand so that you help come to the right answer, the right conclusion, because if you understand the question, you will post your response accordingly. So here is the question tonight. Has Narendra Modi government broken its promise of Achhe Din for the Aam Aadmi? Here's what you need to do. You need to use the hashtag center stage. Tweet to us, just add the word agree or disagree to make yourself absolutely clear so that the algorithm understands what you're saying, and send it to us. This is how you need to participate. So here is the question. Has the Narendra Modi government broken the promise of Achhe Din, or do you think that the hike in rail prices is actually part of the promise which will ultimately lead to the economic nirvana that Narendra Modi promised? But before I get to the center stage Twitter debate, let me take you through what has happened. In the first bitter pill from the Modi government, starting the 25th of June, railway passenger fares have been increased by 14.2%, while freight charges have been pushed up by 6.5%. The opposition says that the Narendra Modi government is breaking its promise and already burdening the Aam Aadmi instead of giving them the Achhe Din that were promised.
Get set to pay more for your humble train travels. NDA government bites the price bullet, effectuates a steep hike in rail fares ahead of the budget, literally deflating Modi's honeymoon period in office.
It was done by the previous government, and an interim budget, a consolidated budget, was given by them on the basis of the fare hike. So, to meet all the necessary expenditure.
Railway passenger fares increased by over 14% across the board, and freight charges up by 6.5%. The decision literally restoring the UPA government's May 16th announcement, when a similar hike in rail fares was announced and then immediately put on hold. Opposition Congress not leaving the opportunity to hit out at the Modi government, mocking the decision. The left demanding an immediate rollback on prices. The Aam Janta already reeling under spiraling prices of vegetables and other essentials, hitting out at the price hike. For a government which promised good days, the Achhe Din still seem a distant dream. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
I'm already getting a lot of responses on this live Twitter debate that is clearly being discussed in every drawing room, every bedroom across the country tonight. Let me introduce you to our speakers for this program this evening. Kanchan Gupta is a member of the BJP. Also with us at this time, Nilotpal Basu from the CPM, TKS Elangovan representing the DMK, Ami Ben Yagnik representing the Congress, and Mohandas Pai, top educationist and corporate voice. I want to go across first though to Kanchan Gupta, and I want to quote to you, sir, a letter put out by Narendra Modi to the Prime Minister on the 7th of March 2012, where he says, and this is exactly what he's saying, immediately withdraw the 20% railway freight hike imposed before the railway budget, because he says by doing so, you are diminishing the Supreme Court, you are diminishing the supremacy of Parliament. Why would you increase freights by a whopping 20% through the back door with just a week to go for the railway budget? The same question tonight is being asked of the Prime Minister himself. Kanchan Gupta, you've got one uninterrupted minute to make your argument for why you feel this doesn't take away from Modi's promise of Achhe Din.
This is not a decision of the Modi government. It was inherited from the previous UPA government. They kept it pending. It was supposed to be implemented. They wanted to implement it on the 16th of May, which was an impossibility, so they put it on hold. And what has been done is that what was on hold has been unfrozen. Now, if we look just beyond the hike, we really need to start looking at the condition of our railways. We have the world's largest railway network, or presumably so. It's in a shambles. You haven't added tracks, you haven't added new trains. All you have done is you have tinkered around with your existing stock. And the results are there for all to see. Passenger safety is on a discount.
So your time is up. 1 uninterrupted minute is what you get. You're saying that this is essentially a decision that the UPA government had taken but did not have the guts to implement. It left this back for the NDA government to take. So therefore, Ami-Ben Yagnik, it is the Congress that must take the blame for this decision, if blame is to be given, because it's a decision that your government had in principle taken. So now, don't blame the Modi government, is what Kanchan Gupta argues, yet you are saying that this goes away from the Modi government promise of Achhe Din. Why do you feel so? You've got 1 minute to make your argument, ma'am, and your time starts now.
The present government was aware of this decision that was taken by way of some interim budget. And at that time, I think they had voiced their opinion very strongly. And even in 2012, a letter was written to Dr. Manmohan Singh when there was a hike, and this is not required. But now you are falling back or taking an excuse that the earlier government had taken the decision, it was on hold, so now we are going forward with it. I think this government has a mandate, it has come with a majority, it has to take its own decisions. It cannot have these kind of flimsy excuses. Why you want to take the Congress decision? You don't like anything about the Congress, you don't like the Congress, then why you want to take that decision? You have your own decision, and you know the figures were already there in 2012 about the railways. The situation was very well known to them, yet in the campaign they said that they are going to change everything. So you can't fall back on these kind of excuses. You have to now take your decisions which you have promised to the country.
Okay, you've made important points, and before I get our other speakers in, I must get Kanchan to interject on this. You're not really taking forward every decision the UPA government has taken. Those decisions you think are wrong, you are discarding. So clearly you think that this is a right decision, so therefore don't blame Manmohan Singh for taking this decision. The onus must be taken by the Prime Minister who has taken this decision. And secondly, the hypocrisy is also being questioned, where in 2012, before the railway budget, when the UPA did something similar, Modi said that this is coming in through the back door. You are undermining Parliament. Now the same charge can be levelled against him, Dada.
No, you see, there is a difference. This year you have already had an interim budget. Now you're going in for a proper budget. So this is the interregnum. And to window dress the interim budget, the UPA government had fudged figures, and then they had planned to boost up numbers by bringing in this price hike. And so they left it pending. They left it dangling over there.
No, but now, what about the hypocrisy of the letter of 2012? The letter of March 12, 2012, which says, why make this decision just before the railway budget, sir?
That's what I'm saying. The two situations are incomparable. You have already had an interim budget. You are now going in for the final budget. Now, only after you have fixed the numbers for what you have been left with, can you go ahead and
why could this not be done in the main budget?
Well, the previous interim budget was based on a certain set of figures. They dressed up those figures.
Okay.
Whatever was falling short was supposed to have been made up by this increase. Now, they planned this increase. It's just that they couldn't get the increase through.
I want to go across to Mohandas Pai, because there's a bigger point here. Governments in the past have been criticized for being populist, for not having the courage and the conviction to take the tough decisions which would put the economy back on track. And here we have, from the Aam Aadmi to the politician, everyone jumping against the Modi government for having taken what economically is a perfectly sensible decision. Do you think the Modi government should be criticized or applauded? Is this decision taking away from the promise of Achhe Din for the Aam Aadmi? Mr. Mohandas Pai, your time starts now.
No, I think the Modi government should be applauded because they have to take a lot of tough decisions. The fiscal situation, the government is in very bad shape. Inflation is high, yes, but unless we reduce the borrowing of the government and make it productive, we're not going to have a good economy and create jobs. We need to create jobs for which the economy has come back to stead. The railways are in very bad shape. The operating ratio is in excess of 93% with no money for new rails, no money for safety, and people are dying because of accidents. And the railways go down, the country goes down. So I think it's inescapable. We need more harsh measures, and I think the harsh measures are going to come. And in the next 3 or 4 months, the more harsh measures are going to come. For the next 5 years, we'll have a better economy, lower inflation, higher growth, and more jobs. I think we have to tighten our belts and accept we have messed about in the last 5 years, and we have to remedy this, and we have to do it in the first 6 months. Otherwise, even the next 5 years will be a years of waste.
Okay, I want to go across to Nilotpal Basu, because the economy is in a mess, growth is down, inflation is up. You need to take tough decisions in the honeymoon period of the government when its popularity is still at a peak. This is when you can push tough decisions through. It might be a bitter pill in the short run, but ultimately this is what will yield achhe din. Why is it that you not agree? Mr. Nilotpal Basu, your time to rebut starts now. You've got 1 uninterrupted minute, sir.
This is the biggest cruel hoax that the people have been subjected to, because this was the precise point of the Modi campaign, that they will change the past, they will mend the Congress ways. People have suffered. You can still see slogans that "Bahut hua mehengai ki maar, ab ki baar Modi Sarkar." I am aghast at Mr. Pai's logic. All these years, while the GDP has been going down, corporate profits have not dwindled. So why is it that only harsh measures and only this kind of strong medicine is stored for the people at large in a situation where already inflation is skyrocketing, and we don't see Vodafone, the tax that they want to be exempted of, on that the government is reversing earlier decisions.
So your time is up, but you've made an important point, that bahut hui mehengai ki maar, ab ki baar Modi Sarkar, and therefore in the rhetoric of the election, Kanchan Gupta, the BJP made promises which you're now going back from. You made it seem as if when the UPA was increasing the price of petroleum, diesel or freight, that they were committing a crime. Now you're going out and doing exactly the same thing. The left accusing you of electoral hypocrisy, sir.
Well, Mr. Nilotpal Basu knows very well one of the reasons why the railways in our country is a hobbled institution is because we have something called cross subsidy. Passenger fares are subsidized by freight fares, and you pay more for freight so that passengers pay less. Ultimately, who suffers? It's the passenger who suffers.
Okay, that's an important point. I want to take that point
let me just
to TKS Alangovan.
I mean,
yes.
A larger number of people suffer. I mean, more than the number of people who actually benefit from it, because they have to pay more for stuff which is ferried across by trains. So we really need to take a tough look at these things.
No, but okay, that's an important point that you're making, that the railways currently are in a mess. Look at the growth that China has been able to register, and if India hopes to compete, Mr. TKS Alangovan, then at some point in time, tough decisions are required. Otherwise, where will the railways find the capital to finance expansion? Modi is promising high-speed rail links. That requires money, and that requires the Modi government to increase the price that consumers pay for these products, and therefore the Modi government should actually be praised rather than criticized. That's the argument. How do you respond? You've got 1 minute. Your time starts now.
No, see, Modi recently, the railway ministry had stated that they are going for 100% FDI on railways, but still when the budget date of railway budget is more or less announced, and within 10 or 15 days the railway budget is to be presented in the house, this price hike should have been discussed in the house. They have not given a chance for the opposition party to discuss this issue in the house. They have announced it today. Why should they not have waited for the budget day, or whether they have any other plan, a further increase in their budget presentation, if the people should know?
That's an important question you raise, and Mohandas Pai, on the issue of propriety. Given the fact that Narendra Modi had criticized what Manmohan Singh had done in 2012, is this an attempt to sneak this hike in through the back door? Because if you brought it in Parliament, people like the left and the DMK doesn't have a member, but people from the opposition would have jumped up and got very irritated. Is this an attempt to push this decision in through the back door? That's the charge the DMK levels. What do you make of it, Mr. Pai?
Well, Rahul, I would say that the reality of life is very different when you are inside the government and you are outside the government. When you are inside the government, you are responsible to make things work, answerable to the people. When you are in opposition, you are responsible to criticize the government, whatever they do. So when you are now in the new government, you have to face the music. The railways are at no way to finance their expenditure. There is lack of safety in the railways. People are dying. The railways are crowded. They have to build new tracks. They have to expand their network. They need new rails, and there's no money.
So you're saying this is just politics. When you're in opposition, you have to criticize the government, and when you're in government, you have to deal with the flak from the opposition. Here are the live results so far. The Twitter sentiment analysis. Please see the question first before I take you through the answer. Can we bring our camera closer in, please? Has Modi broken his promise of Achhe Din? 43% say yes, that promise has been broken, but a bigger number, 57% say no, that promise has not been broken. And in that sense, Ami-Ben Yagnik, is this response an affirmation of the fact that maybe people have the appetite to stomach tough decisions? People want a cleaner railways that functions on time, that is safe, and also trains that move faster. Your government failed to do so, and therefore, at least initially, people seem to be willing to give Modi government that opportunity to ring in the changes that they promised, ma'am.
Possibly, Rahul, people still think that because they have been promised so hugely during the campaign that everything is going to be great and there's going to be good governance, they still want to repose the faith in the promise that was made. But price hike is only one of the factors, you know, if you're talking about the harsher measures of changing the railway network, which is the 4th largest in the whole world. But you can't change the factors when you're in opposition. You may not like the factors when you are on this side or that side. The factors still remain the same. And here is one person who has promised so much, but because of his track record in a particular state. So you can't say everything is going to be, you can't have benefits of doubt because you have been very clear in promising. So let us wait when you are taking decisions.
But Nilotpal Basu, okay, that's a political argument, and Mohandas Pai says it's natural in politics. When you're in opposition, you have to crib about everything the government does, and when you're in government, you realize it's not that easy. You've made that point, and that basic point has been registered. But Nilotpal Basu, the Indian railways in comparison with the Chinese railways is in a mess. The Chinese railway network was way behind us a couple of decades ago. They've overtaken us now at a level where we'll probably never be able to reach. Now, to expand our railway capacity, to bring in the high-speed trains that Modi talks about, you need to give the railways extra finance. Increasing freight, increasing railway fares, passenger fares is the only way to do so. Do you not think so, sir? Or are you prepared to allow the railways to degrade even further, Mr. Basu?
Mr. Pai is representing elite India. He doesn't talk of Aam Aadmi. One. Number two is railways is the biggest public transport network in the country. Nowhere in the world can you run public transport without a subsidy and the budgetary support. You go and find out who is funding the expansion of railways in China. Is it the private sector which is doing so, or is it the public investment which has led to such a...
Okay, let Mohandas Pai respond to that, that even if you want to introduce the high-speed railway lines, Mr. Pai, the government needs to create financing either domestically or internationally. You can't put that entire burden on the Aam Aadmi, in which case the Aam Aadmi will never be able to afford a railway ride.
Rahul, let me say this. Railways are facing a loss of 25,000 crores a year on the passenger side, and in China the passenger side the rates are very high. They make a profit on the passenger side, and the freight charges are very low. In India, it is opposite. Freight is much higher, and passengers are subsidized, and there is a 25,000 crore loss. And that's why our industry is suffering. The transport costs are too high, and industry is not able to compete in the international market. So we need to reverse that. We can't afford this 25,000 crores.
And Mr. T.K.S. Elangovan, the reality is in India, because freight prices have been kept artificially high, you've actually moved a lot of freight to roadways, and that is very environmentally unfriendly. It increases costs. If railway freight fare is low, you'd actually be helping the environment and helping the railways in the long run, Mr. Elangovan. Modi seems to have begun correcting a historical wrong.
No, he has increased railway freight fare also by 6% plus. which means that the commodities which are transported by rail is going to cost more. It will have a cascading effect on the economy. Definitely the prices are going to go up.
Okay, Kanchan Gupta, is another railway price hike on the cards? Because you've increased prices now, you didn't do it in the budget, you haven't been able to give an explanation adequately on why it didn't happen in the budget and happened now. Are you keeping a window of opportunity open for pushing through another hike in a couple of weeks when the budget is presented, sir?
No, Rahul, we keep on making, going around this circle. This was a part of the liability inherited by the government. They have got it out of the way. So now they have a clearer set of figures. Now moving on, whether the government wants to further revise rates or not, that is for the government to decide, and I don't think anybody has a clue on that. So speculation on that. No, 1 second. Just speculating on that would be futile. Now a couple of points which need to be made, because I think issues are being conflated over here. When we are talking of high-speed trains or bullet trains, that's a different proposition, and there will be separate funding for it. How the funding is done is to be worked out, whether it is foreign investment, foreign direct investment, local investment. That's a separate issue. Second is, how do you get your existing railways back on track and move on and build further on it? Now, if you look at something as simple as the tracks which have been added since independence, it is pitiful. I mean, if you just compare it with any other developing country, and if you take a per capita ratio of that, it's horrifyingly low. We really need to move on. You need money for that. Now that money cannot constantly come from subsidies by way of budgetary support or by increasing freight, so that money can go into subsidizing passenger fare. Okay. Even that doesn't work, as Mr. Mohandas Pai pointed out. At 25,000 crores is the annual loss on passenger fare alone. And I think in the first quarter itself of this year, we have chalked up something like 9,000 crores of losses.
Okay.
Now that is something which is not sustainable. Now you could keep on raising freight to subsidize and depress passenger fares. You can keep on giving budgetary support, but that is not going to help you in the medium or in the long term. So you need to have more realistic passenger fares. You need to have lower freight rates, so that
I'm afraid I'm out of time on this program. Everyone has made the argument that they had to. Now it's time to see how our viewers have gone out and cast their vote. Let's play it for every 5-minute time period. It started with 44% of the people saying that Modi has broken his promise. It stayed roughly at 44, then has now come down to 39. In the end, 61% of the people in the last 5 minutes say Modi has not broken his promise of Achhe Din. And in fact, because there is an English skew, it's on an English channel, people are usually more wealthy. It's not really the poorest of the poor. But let's have the final results up on our screen. This is the time period wise breakup. But let's take a look at the final numbers of this Twitter debate. More people seem to indicate that they're okay with what Narendra Modi has done. Can we have the final figures, please? The sentiment analysis numbers. Has the Modi government broken its promise of Achhe Din? 61% saying no, 39% saying yes. Here is now the final figure. You've seen it for every 5 minutes. Now 45% in the end say that Modi has broken his promise, but 55% say they are prepared to give it a shot, and this isn't really the breaking of the Achhe Din promise. It's the honeymoon period, of course, so the Modi government has a longer rope and more goodwill at this time, which is also why they're using this opportunity to push these tough decisions through. Nilotpal Basu, TKS Elangovan, Mohandas Pai, Amibai Yagnik and Kanchan Gupta for joining us on Center Stage tonight. Thank you very much. It's great to see so many responses coming in and so much active participation from people watching this broadcast. That's the whole idea, to give you the right to be heard, to give you the right to participate in this program live and make your voice heard and seen on the national television set. We're ending our broadcast tonight. News and updates continue when we come back on the other side.